Good morning and welcome to the Hosting Capacity webinar. We're really excited to demonstrate the new mapping system that distinguishes higher and lower potential distribution feeders for distributed generation projects. My name is Carrie Doyle and Matt Herring will be our topic presenter today. We have muted the phone lines to make sure that we can have a high quality audio experience. We will also be recording this session. By Friday, you should be able to find this recording on YouTube. You'll be searching for keywords National Grid Distributed Generation. At the end of the presentation, we will answer chat questions in the order that they are typed. If you could please hold off until the end, we would really prefer it. It is really distracting as the chat messages do come through. We also ask you if you could please turn off any video cameras. That also is rather distracting while we're trying to present the material. As always, National Grid starts with the safety message, and today's message is about spring driving safety. At this point, I'll hand it off to Matt.
All right, thanks, Carrie. As you guys can see here, spring driving safety with the weather changing, please be careful out there on the roads. Make sure you have a vision of sight far ahead of you and you're being very cautious and looking around your surroundings. Just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Matt Herring. I've been here at National Grid working on the portal for about a year with a specific focus on hosting capacity analysis. Today, we're very excited to go over how our portal has developed over the past year and do a little bit of a demo and show you how we envision it would be used and how to get the most useful information out of it. So we'll start off with just some slides, do a little background, and we'll jump right into a live demo and walk you right through exactly what the functionality is and how it's easiest to navigate. So here on the first slide, you'll see we do have a link there in orange, and the slides will be distributed after the fact as well as this is being recorded. So this is a public website. There's no password protection. Anybody can go on and click on the link and log in and go through the exact same steps that I'm going to go through today. One other thing that we want to mention up front is that please use Google Chrome as your web browser when accessing the portal. This is an Esri-based map, and they require that Google Chrome be used. So we're going to focus on two of the tabs on the portal today. Essentially, the National Grid System Data Portal is a collection of maps that helps to guide and aid DER development. So each one has its own function in meeting that task. The two we're going to focus on are the Hosting Capacity tab and the Distribution Assets Overview tab. So on the Assets Overview tab, we're displaying things like historical peak information, historical data, as well as forecasted load information on a feeder level basis. And then up here on the top, you can see we have a definition of hosting capacity. And I'll just read through a hosting capacity estimate amount of DER that can be accommodated. And the key information here in the definition is that it's with under current configurations and without requiring infrastructure upgrades. So when we get into the hosting capacity tab, you'll see that we provide feeder level max and mins. So you'll see a max 3-phase megawatt number for hosting capacity as well as a min. And we're going to quickly, before we get there, just go over what we mean by feeder level max and min, because we get a lot of questions about this and we want to be very clear on what feeder level means. So Esri was nice enough to provide the slide for us to use. We feel it's very clear because it's a kind of pictorial representation of what you're seeing. So you go node by node and we're evaluating certain criteria, things like overvoltage, thermal limitations. There are just 3 examples here on this slide. You see overvoltage, thermal, and breaker reach. So each of those has a different limit from which is when it starts violating. So on the center of the slide there, you see we have a little table with the high in the blue color range and low hosting capacity in the more brown color range. So at node 1, this being the first substation, the first node outside the substation, we don't see limitations on overvoltage or thermal. We see our limitation on breaker reach. So since that's our limiting criteria, our hosting capacity max is that orange color. Now, as we move to the right, which would be kind of moving down the feeder until we get to node N, which is at the feeder tail, then we reevaluate the criteria again. There at node N, you see that overvoltage is that brownish color. That's the limiting criteria. So that would be our feeder level minimum hosting capacity number. So when you're presenting this on the portal, that orange is our max and that brown is our min. So that the max is generally the first node outside the substation, while the min is characteristic of a much downstream towards the feeder tail. Once we get into the hosting capacity tab, all the information is available via pop-ups. So you click on a feeder object and you'll see line items that specify different information, things that's going to be useful. And here is just a little bit of definitions of what the line items mean. I'm not going to go through these right now because we're going to just explain them as we go through the demo, and these definitions are also available on our portal. So with that, I'm going to jump right into our live demo of the portal. So if you were to go to that link in the slides, it would bring you to this introduction screen. Up here, we have our tabs available. Let's go to the Hosting Capacity tab here. The first thing you'll see is a splash screen. There's two very important links on the splash screen. If you open up these two, they'll open up PDFs. The first is about methodology and assumptions. Basically, what went into the analysis, what kind of assumptions were made, and what was considered. So a few that I want to highlight before we jump in there is that this was for three-phase mainline only. Single and two-phase was not included in this analysis. The second I want to highlight is that existing DG was also not included in this analysis. So one of the things we do to offset that is we include DG connected and DG in queue numbers for each feeder on the pop-up. So since it wasn't in the analysis, we have it on the pop-up for you to see there. And the third thing is that this is for large PV solar systems above 300 kW. And then the second link is to that very same pop-up definitions we just went over. So if at any point you're going through the portal and you forget what one of the line items mean, you can open this up and this is very clearly explain what exactly it's trying to say. So come in here and you click the proceed button, you'll see our New York service territory, and we have a thin outline in blue just going around service territory and showing you where it begins and ends. So the first thing you're probably noticing is that we have a bunch of different colors up here, and if you're curious, what the colors mean, you come to the upper right-hand corner, and we have a legend. And the legend will explain just kind of what the colors mean, and the feeders are colored by the max hosting capacity. So that first node outside the substation is how they're going to be colored in. So here you can see that dark blue means that we have a max of greater than 5 megawatts. And you'll see we have a few on there in that yellowish range that's under megawatt. So that's just something to keep in mind as we're scrolling through here. So there's a few different ways to get to the location you're interested in. If you know the exact address, the exact location, you can come up here into the find address or place and type it right in. So I'm going to go to a college campus right in the area here of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Type it in, and it'll zoom you right into the location. And now you can kind of more clearly see the topology of the feeders in the area. We'll zoom in here a little bit, and we'll click on one of these feeders. And now you can see the pop-up information. One thing I do want to mention is that you're seeing a lot of these pink, less bold lines. Those are single and two-phase sections. So those are, if you click on a legend again, you'll see right here that pink line is single and two-phase, and the bold sections is the three-phase main line where the analysis was conducted. So going back to that pop-up, there's two tabs to this pop-up. There's a feeder level information, and then there's substation level information. You navigate between those two tabs by clicking the little arrow on the top. So here is substation level information, and here is feeder level information.
Just to let everybody know, you can zoom in your screens on the right-hand side. You'll have a plus button, so feel free to do so. In order to find the legend on the other side on the right, you will need to zoom out again.
All right, thank you, Carrie. So we'll quickly go through what these line items mean. We have the substation name, the feeder identification code, the nominal voltage, and then here is that max and min hosting capacity numbers that we just went over from the EPRI slide. Here are DG connected and DG in queue for the feeder only. So since the analysis was not including DG, here are the numbers. And the key for this is that we update those on a monthly basis. So down here, we have the last date of the update was April 29th. We'll do that again at the end of May, and we'll do it on a continuing monthly basis going forward. And this refresh date here is the last time the actual hosting capacity analysis was performed. So basically the last time we obtained this 10 and 1.31 numbers. Now going over to the substation level tab. Up here you'll see the name of the substation, and if it's a multi-bank station, you'll see the transformer bank identification number. So here, this feeder is connected to Stickaway Transformer Bank 1. There's some other feeders off of Stickaway that will be connected to Transformer Bank 2, and those will have different DG numbers and different information in this pop-up. If it's a single bank station, you won't see the TV number, you'll just see the station name. So we have installed, queued, total DG at that transformer bank. We have the 2017 peak. We have whether or not the station has 3V0 installed. And for the status of this line item 3B0, we have either it's a yes, it's installed, no, it's not, or if it's pending. And again, I'll point you to the pop-up definition PDF, which has explanations of what exactly we mean by no, yes, and pending. And then here, the same exact refresh dates that were mentioned previously. Before we move on, just a couple cool features that you have available to you here in the portal. This is the classic kind of Google Street View, but if you like the more imagery Google Maps style, you can come up here and click on Space Map Gallery, and you'll see all the options you have for the visualizing this information. So you can click on imagery and see all the buildings, just like Google Maps style. I'll go back to the streets for now. And you also have some measurement options. So that's the ruler right up here. You have options to measure area. You can measure distance, as well as latitude and longitude. So if you do the latitude and longitude, hovering the mouse, you can see that that's changing. You can drop markers and get the lat and long of certain points. For the measurement, if you're interested maybe how far this building here is from the three-phase main line, you can click, drop a marker, double click, and you see that's 0.07 miles. You can change the units as you see. Just something neat that's in here that I wanted to show. So now going back to our original view, there's a few ways to zoom in and zoom out on here. You can use the scroll bar on your mouse. You can use the plus minus up here in the upper left-hand corner. Or if you want to go back to just the entire view of the service territory, you can click the home button in the upper left-hand corner. So I'll zoom this right back out to where we started. So the second easy way to navigate to locations is using our attribute table. And you can access that by clicking the black arrow on the bottom of your screen right here. And this basically is just all the information on the pop-ups in tabular form. So this is every single feeder you see on your screen, just here's all the information that's in that pop-up. The nice thing about this attribute table, though, is that you can filter it to look for items that meet certain criteria. So here, let's try to zoom back right into that feeder we were just at. So I will click on Options and go to Filter. I will add an expression, and I know the name of that station we were just at is Sickaway. So I'm going to go down here to Substation. I'm going to change this to contains the following text. I'm going to type in Sickaway. Hit OK. And now all the information has been filtered down to just Sickaway stations in this table. So if I double click on one of these line items, it'll zoom us right back into where we were, right at RPI. So just another way to kind of navigate around in here and get to locations. But one of the other very interesting parts about this attribute table is that it can be used to, maybe you don't know exactly what address you're looking for, you just more want to find the feeders that meet a certain criteria. For example, you're looking for stations that have a certain amount of DG installed, or you want ones with 3B0 installed. You can use a filter to do that as well. So I'm going to remove this filter and add a new expression for I want stations that have 3B0 installed. So I put yes here, 3B0 installed. And I'll add a second expression for feeders with a min hosting capacity of at least 1 megawatt. Type that in here, hit OK. And so this table has now been filtered to just the feeders that meet that criteria. We can see there's about 63 feeders that meet that criteria. And again, you can double click on these, they'll zoom you right into those feeders and those locations. As you can see on the screen here though, all the feeders that were originally displayed when we loaded the portal are still in display. One of the neat things you can do is mess around with the layers on this site. So the way Esri develops these sites is using layers. So we have layers for the hosting capacity information, we have layers for substation data, layers for the service territory. So if you come in here and actually uncheck the hosting capacity layer, now only the feeders that meet our criteria will be displayed on the portal. So this is pretty useful because now you can just see, oh, okay, I have some in the Albany area and some in the Buffalo area that have 3B0 installed and also meet our 1 megawatt min criteria. So that's a useful way just to kind of zoom around in here. And if you zoom in on a feeder, let's go over here, for example. The attribute table actually repopulates based on what's in your extensive view. So here I only have these 3 feeders in view. So these are the only 3 feeders that are going to be displayed on our attribute table here. So just another nice way that you can utilize this to navigate and find feeders that are meeting the exact criteria you're looking for. Zoom out here. So now I'm going to jump over to the Assets Overview tab, which is right up here. Again, you'll see a splash screen, a similar disclaimer. Please, again, read through this and understand what the analysis included. Hit I agree. Okay. Again, you're probably wondering what the colors mean. Here, the colors are completely random. Each feeder is different color. So if you go up to Legend, you'll see that it's pretty bare bones because there's not much to say regarding the colors. They're all just random. Same way to navigate to certain locations. Let me go back to that Rensselaer campus. Here we are. Here's a few different feeders. Again, each feeder a different color. I will click on feeder right here. And here we have the information, again, the feeder identification number, the substation, the operating voltage. And here's where we get some new information. Here's the summer rating of the feeder in amps. Here's what our peak was in 2016, the percentage that was of the rating. So that peak was 48% of our rating. The peak from 2017, the same percentage. And then we have MVA peaks from two historical, 2016 and 2017. But we also put in forecasted numbers going out 10 years. So starting in 2018, going all the way out to 2027. You'll see usually that these taper off and kind of start agreeing at one number. So here's 1.9. But you see some change up front. So from 2017 to 2018, it went from 1.7 to 1.9 according to our forecast. So another way in here to get historical information is via real-time PI data that's historical that we provide. So for stations that have EMS and communications, we'll provide the historical data we have on an hourly basis. So if you scroll all the way down to the pop-up, you'll see here this line item called feeder load curve. And here it says no additional ASM60 information available. What that means is that we don't have communications with this feeder. We don't have historical data to provide. But as you go around here, you will find feeders that do have historical data. So if I zoom just a little bit over here to the left, and maybe I'm interested in this location, and click on this feeder here, similar information's popped up. I zoom to the bottom, and now I have more info. So if you click that, it will start a download of an Excel file. And I'll pop that up. It looks like this. The first page is just a little bit of disclaimer about what this data is. It is raw data. It hasn't been scrubbed or altered in any way, so just please consider that when looking at the data. And then each tab represents a different measured value. We have the feeder identification code, and then the tag is what we call it that it's measured. So this is amps on phase A, this is amps on phase B, amps on phase C, and we have megawatts, MVAR, and MVA. Not every single feeder is going to have the same tags available. So you may go through some feeders that only have AMP1, AMP2, and AMP3 tags and not the power quantities. So just please consider that. And you'll see this is what it looks like. We have data going back all the way to the 1st of January 2015, and we continuously add on this data. So we have data from this past April, and we'll keep pushing on data as it comes available. You see a nice graph here of just the plot of this real-time data. Again, this is hourly, and you'll see that same plot we have for every single tag on these sheets. So again, going around here, you will see some feeders that just don't have communications. We'll have that listed as no ASM60 available. But for those that do, you will see that downloadable file, which you can download and just take a look at the real-time information. So with that pretty much sums up our assets overview on hosting capacity tabs. These are continuously in development. We're changing these and adding more information, making these easiest for you to get the information out of them and navigate. So with that, I'm going to toss back over to Carrie, see if you have any questions on the line, and we'll take those at this time.
Thank you very much for holding your questions to the end. At this point, we'll start taking those questions, so feel free to start typing those in. I do have a couple of questions that we'll start with. First question, is it possible to implement the attribute table from hosting capacity tab on the other portal tabs, like the distributed asset overview page? Or is it possible to export the attribute table to Excel?
Right, so this is a question actually we get pretty frequently. The attribute table on a hosting capacity tab certainly has some pretty important functionality that we utilize, and it is able to be added to the other tabs, and we're working on adding that to the other tabs as we speak. As far as exporting that information to Excel, right now we don't have the functionality in Esri, but we are looking into hopefully adding them as well, because it would be useful to be able to export those line items and just look at it in a spreadsheet form.
Great. Could you please reiterate the reason for the difference in the feeder colors between the two tabs?
Sure. So let me just zoom out here again so you can see here. So these, again, are all colored in randomly. There's no meaning to the colors besides just designating where one feeder stops and one where it begins. The reason for that is that we're just looking at information specific to each feeder on this Assets Overview tab. But on hosting capacity, if we want to do a comparison, we want to show the max number for that feeder because you're interested in which feeders have the highest max, which has a max meeting a certain limit. That's why those are all colored to a certain legend. We want to make sure that you can compare between the feeders over the entire system. Whereas with this one, you're just going to go to where you're interested and find the information available in the pop-up.
Great. What are the next steps with regard to hosting capacity? How will the map change and evolve?
So again, this is a feeder level analysis, a max and a min. The next steps would be to provide a more granular level information, meaning we're going to provide nodal level hosting capacity, not just one value, a max and a min for a feeder. So that there's no timeline set yet for that, but what we did do is provide that substation level pop-up information as a stage 2.1. So we have a roadmap set of different stages to meet. Stage 2 was the feeder level information that we completed, but we added on stage 2.1, which was that substation level information, so things like the DG installed and connected, the historical peak. So that was to kind of bridge the gap between stage 2 and stage 3. And stage 3, we will show nodal level hosting capacity numbers. So you click on a feeder and you can say from from section A to section B, you have a certain hosting capacity number, and then so on throughout the feeder.
Great. Next question. If our developers should happen to have any feedback, either letting you know that it's a really great system or some minor modifications that they may be looking for next, how's the best way to get that information to you?
The best way is through our Esri map developer. You see his name actually down here, Josh Carver Brown. And that's the easiest way probably to get in touch with us and find out what modifications we can make and what we can evolve to make this a better product.
Great, thank you. Okay, we've got some more in here. Are load zone designations critically important for CDG stated here? If not, can they be added?
I'll take you repeat the question.
Okay, are the load zone designations stated here?
No, is this part for LSRV? Is that what the question is?
No, for CDG? Just the general load zones.
No,
we don't.
7 different load zones.
We do not show those.
Them in. Okay, we do not show those at these times.
So the service territory, yes, that's the blue line on the outline there.
Right, okay. Next question. Could you please show how you filtered the search for different substations and feeders on hosting capacity map?
Absolutely. All right. Go back here. Okay, so again, it's right down here, this black arrow. Click that. Here's our attribute table. We're going to go to Options, upper left corner here, and then click Filter. The next step is Add Expression, basically a filter on a line item. Click that. And then here is all the line items that are available. So the pop-up we went through, this is everything in there. So if you're interested in substation name, it'd be right here. You can do an exact match, that'd be is. You can do starts with a few letters, ends with a few letters. I usually do contains just to be safe. And then go back to that stick away station, type in that, hit OK. And I imagine I spelled it wrong, so I will go back here, type OK. And I zoom out a little bit, and there it is, stick away. And you can double click that and zoom right in and filter on any of the criteria in the pop-up, DG install, DG in queue, names, anything you'd like.
Are you able to click the top labels in order to have them sort?
Yes. Click up here, sort ascending, sort descending. You can sort just like that.
Terrific. The next question was, can load zone boundaries be added?
I don't think we have plans to put those in at this time. I think we're just sticking with the service territory.
Okay, but it's great input and it's something that you guys can consider at another time.
Absolutely.
Terrific. And that ends our questions at this point. Does anybody else, I'll give just another minute to see if anybody's holding on to a last minute question. Okay, I don't see any more coming in. I guess we're all set here for today. Like I said, we will be, the recording will be posted on YouTube. Feel free to get that recording. You need to search keywords National Grid Distributed Generation. And we thank you for your time and for attending today. We hope it was very helpful. Thank you and goodbye.